want to thank everyone who is here for being here today.
Thank you, Julie. It's still hard to speak with a mask. You notice what we're doing here. The moment somebody speaks, we have different microphones for people. We're all wearing masks because we know that we need to take COVID seriously. Tessa takes COVID seriously every day. Tessa, I'm sure, has had many a thought about what's happening with her family. I know my sister, who's been a doctor on the COVID ward, has had that. We've had serious conversations about all of that. Any of us, when we have someone in our family who tests positive or who has COVID, our heartbeat skips a bit. Because what does it mean? Are they going to be okay? And I want to just start by actually saying to Tessa, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being on the front lines. Thank all of our nurses from O&A for being on the front lines, and our hospitalists, and our OTs, and our PTs, and our respiratory therapists. I can even say that with a mask. And I want to thank our teachers, and I want to thank our early childhood teachers, and I want to thank our paraprofessionals, and I want to thank our bus drivers, and I want to thank those who work in the meat packing industry, and who have manufactured PPE, because these are the heroes who have helped us get through this part of the pandemic. You notice who I didn't thank. And I didn't thank the guy in the White House for a lot of reasons. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm a social studies teacher. And a few minutes ago, I actually got south and north and east and west a little confused, so I have to kind of do that ditty. West to east, north to south. And the reason I say that is that this is the middle of a pandemic. I'm not the scientist in my family. I'm not the doctor in my family. I'm not the nurse in my family. I'm a teacher and a lawyer. But I listen to the scientists, to the experts, the people who actually know how to get us out of this mess. The first far-reaching pandemic in 100 years. There used to be a pandemic task force in the White House before it was fired. There used to be a sense that the CDC was God, meaning you would listen to everything that the CDC said. Every word you would try to figure out. And the same in terms of the FDA. Because the people who worked for the government who were scientists, they were beyond reproach. Like Dr. Fauci. They weren't political. They were about the science and about safety. We're here today, all of us in these masks, fighting for sanity. Fighting for a country that actually respects human life. Doesn't recklessly disregard it as the president does every single day. How the heck do you do a rally in Ohio or Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania with rates going up without masks, without physical distancing, without practicing what helps us curb this disease? How do you put people like Tessa in harm's way every single day? How do you not give the nurses, the doctors, the PPE that they need so that they can protect us? How do you not give the teachers the kind of support, the resources when they go back to in-school learning and need to try to figure out how to keep themselves and their kids safe and all their families safe? How dare you put out a tweet that says, open school? schools in full caps. It's clear he never went to public school because he doesn't actually understand what it takes to educate a generation. How, Mr. Portman, do you actually stand in the Senate and not get us the COVID relief that's needed for the millions of unemployed, for the schools, for resources, for state and local governments, for our nurses, for small business owners that are on the cusp of, do they survive or not? This is America. When we have a crisis in America, we come together. We don't deny it. But that's what we're up against. It's not a Republican or a Democratic problem. It is an American problem of fighting the crises that are upon us, whether it be COVID, or whether it be the economic crisis, or whether it be a long-needed reckoning with racism, or whether it be climate, or whether it be the issue of doesn't a president have an obligation, a moral obligation, to tell the truth, to be transparent, to fight a public health crisis, not to actually spit on voters by saying he doesn't know whether or not he will peacefully transfer power if he loses.
When he loses.
I get to that. I start with this for one reason. We have really important races here. Jessica's race, Sarah's race, all of the judges we talked about and the other public officials, all of these are important. As Lisa Oakes will tell you, who's the executive director of ONA, as Melissa Cropper, who is the president of Ohio Federation of Teachers. They know what it's like in Columbus when there are deniers, when they are deconstructing and defunding public schools instead of helping our kids. We need Sarah and Jessica in Columbus to create the sanity that we need, to fight the reckless disregard there. They can't do it by themselves, but we need to deal with the supermajority, and we need people to vote in the same urgency as we need people to vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Because we need to change things here, like we need to change things in Washington. Cincinnati understands this. 5 years ago, was it 5 years, Julie? The issue 17. Sorry. I'm telling you, I'm a social studies teacher, not a mathematician. 4 years ago, even when there were all these issues around whether or not Hillary would win or lose Ohio, there was a coalition that came together for the proposition, for the issue, that we are seeking to renew this year, issue 17. And people understood, like Terry said before, they understood we needed to dig into our pockets a little bit so we could turn around outcomes for kids. Cincinnati was doing a good job. Cincinnati has had the wraparound services that kids need, but we needed a little bit more so we could have pre-K, so we could have CTE, so we could deal with technology, so we could make sure we met every single child's needs. This year, and that's why these signs say it won't raise taxes. Because in Ohio, these referendum are for short term. They need to be renewed. All we're asking for is to renew the proposition. Issue 17 is a renewal. It's not an expansion. It just says continue the progress. So we can continue the progress for Cincinnati's kids. And at the same time as we're doing this, we are fighting every single day to get the COVID relief from Washington that Ohio needs, that Cincinnati needs, that all of us need. Fighting for Portland to change its mind, to vote with Sherrod Brown for the COVID stimulus, to vote for our kids, to vote for the unemployed, to vote for working families, to vote for sanity, hope, aspiration, and opportunity. It is time to fight the chaos, the division, the fear that Donald Trump thrives on. It is time to vote for Proposition 17 for Jessica and Sarah and for Joe and Kamala, so we have hope and aspiration and opportunity. Cincinnati deserves that. America deserves that. Thank you.